What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Late Night Reds Show. I'm Skylar Wepker. He's Ben Brown. We're coming at you from the Riverfront, part of the Riverfront Network, and put on by the wonderful people there at Blue Wire. My mind is everywhere right now because, Ben, we did a lot of winning this week.
Yes, we did, man. It was crazy. What up, everybody? Hope everybody had a great week. The Reds, won a lot of games, got back over 500. I know we'll talk about that. So, yeah, I'm ready to get started. Super excited, and can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, so we coming off of a sweep of the Rockies, which, look, the Rockies are looking White Sox so far this year, which is saying something because the White Sox are probably still going to lose 100 games this year.
Yeah.
But they still have a Major League MLB patch on their uniforms. They're still a Major League team. So to get out there and get some much needed momentum and some wins, it feels really good. And, you led to it. We're above 500, which is a new feeling this early into the season. Normally with the David Bell era, we were probably 4 or 5 games under 500 at this point in the season. So it feels good to have a little bit of a momentum and change of pace in that.
Oh, absolutely, man. And that's the first thing I thought of when we got that win today. I was like, gosh, man, it's just nice to still be competitive. Usually by this time we're looking at, we're like, gosh dang, like we're 4 or 5 games out of first. It's, things are messy. We can't do anything right, and we're scrapping from behind the whole time. So to see that we're at least one game over 500, we sweep the Rockies, which is awesome because here's the thing. Like you said, you bring up a great point. You are playing a Major League Baseball team. You are a Major League Baseball team, and you're supposed to beat the teams as you're supposed to beat. And the truth of the matter is, the Rockies are a team that we are better than, and that we should win 3 out of 3. So to go in there on the road, coming off a series where we didn't play the greatest, where we were feeling a little undermanned, to come into Colorado and to do what we did, I was extremely happy to see us put that kind of effort together 3 games in a row to make us feel a little bit better about the road trip.
Yeah, and look, the trip feels good. The thing that I love the most about this trip is that they did more than just the long ball, which it seemed like a lot of guys, they were swinging with the intentions to do damage. It felt like through this trip and kind of through the week, there was a lot more base runners, a lot more situational hitting, a lot more just kind of getting on base and letting the guy behind you hit to get you in. And I think a lot of that comes with being healthier. I mean, we get Matt McClain back, even though he's not quite at the the level that we need him to be. But you get Matt McClain back, you get Austin Hayes back in your lineup. You're getting Spencer Steer heating up a little more. Noel V. Marte's hitting the cover off the ball, which feels so good for that guy.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. And Terry Francona always kind of led to that. Like, there are guys in your lineup that you're counting on that they change the whole perspective of your lineup, right? So when we start off the season without a guy like Austin Hayes, who's a pretty big factor in what we're trying to do, it affects everything. Now, Matt McClain's not hitting the ball the greatest now, but he still is getting on base. He still is walking. He's still doing those things. And the hitting will come. When you have guys like that aren't in your lineup, that are in your lineup now, it's going to help tremendously. And on top of that, like, to see that resurgence from Noel and Marte, dude, has really made me happy. Like he's becoming a factor in that lineup where you almost got to try to watch how you pitch to him, because everything that he's getting a solid barrel to, he's driving everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you've gotten 3 pretty big lifts from guys that didn't start the season healthy or on the main roster. So It's good to see that we're able to put those things together, and we just don't have to pray that Ellie hits a ball 400 feet, or we just don't have to pray that Ellie gets on base and steals second, steals third, steals home. You know what I mean? Like, or Hunter Green's got a pitch out of his mind. Like we don't have to rely on those things. We can do different things and win games in different ways, which is nice.
It feels like, and this is because of being in the Cleveland area, especially during their championship run. It reminds me a lot of how the Guardians played, and continue to play. I mean, they've never been the long ball team. They've never been, reliant on one way to play. They've always kind of been the death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of team, and I think a lot of that mentality is getting brought with Chris Valaika and Tito to, hey, we just get on base. You being on base is probably more valuable than, swinging for the long ball. And I think we're seeing a lot of that with Ellie. He brought his season average up from the 230s. He's sitting at a 270 now. So, I mean, we're talking about a 40-point jump in just his batting average. His on base has gone up. His batting average has gone up. He's second in the league and one away from leading the league in stolen bases. So I think his slug is probably down because he's not, trying to hit for the fence. But just getting on base and knowing that the guy behind him is going to get him in, because he's one of the leaders in the league in RBIs and in runs. So he's still producing without needing to be this big grandioso or be the only person in the lineup that can produce anything, which we kind of saw last year. And to a point is the rookie year when they kind of called everybody up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you bring up a great point about the death by 1,000 paper cuts and how important getting on base is. There was a guy that used to play first base for us. I can't put my finger on it. Who always?
Man, how many first basemen have the Reds had in the past 10 years?
I can't put my finger on it. But the guy really worked on getting on base a lot because that produces run. I don't know. It'll come to me later in the show. But people don't understand how important it is to be able to just get on base. Like, especially for a guy like Ellie or a guy like Matt McClain or guys that get on base that can run. Like, it is distracting. It is terrible for guys that have to deal with a runner on base that can move from first to second or second to third. So it's so important. That on-base percentage is so underrated as far as being able to get guys on there consistently to be able to score runs.
Yeah, and look, I would say that this team probably plays better because they have the speed on the base paths that most teams don't have. They have a Spencer Steer who can get you a 20-20. They have a Matt McClain who can get you a 20-20 if he's playing every day. They have an Ellie Daly Cruz who gets you 40-70. They have, Noelvi Marte can steal you bags. TJ Friedel can steal you bags. I don't know if we've seen Austin Hayes attempt one yet, but about the only per two people that can't steal a bag are Trevino and Candy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice to be able to do that and be able to play a game like that and win games like that. Another guy we did mention was Austin Wynns. I mean, how big has he been? With Tyler Stevenson possibly being back within the next week or two. He's been huge. It's tough when Trevino came here expecting to be the backup, of course, and now you're thrusted into a starting role. It's a different role. But Wynns has been able to come in and give him some respite and also be productive, which is in a catcher spot sometimes it's hard to do. So it's really cool to see his production as well.
Yeah, it's been I don't know how they're going to approach it once Tyler Stevenson comes back. I'm sure Wynns will go down, but to me, I think you got to find some way to get Candy out of the lineup. I know he's slumping, but it's been a year and a half slump at this point. I mean, his at-bats are less valuable than what a backup catcher's at-bats are. And then with Noelvi Marte coming on, you can't really put him at third. You can't really keep him in the lineup. You have Tyler Stevenson, who's coming back, who could take over your first base duties. I think they figure something out to kind of have Candy sit on some pine for a good stint.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for him, but I think that it's hard to find a good mix of guys, and you need to start finding a rhythm of guys that are going to be able to play consistently. Of course, not everybody's going to bat 300, but he, like you said, his position in the lineup is detrimental. Like he's got to be like negative win shares. Like you know what I mean? Like he's just not productive. Especially when you had guys step up like Austin Wynns, you've had guys step up. Austin Hayes has been huge, and I can't understate how huge Noelvi Marte has been. Like it's been incredible to watch him come in and hit the ball the way he has, because this is what we expected, right? When he came up as a rookie, we were like, oh man. Then he had his suspension. You're like, oh man, and then he just struggled. But now I feel like he's kind of gotten over that, and he's gotten back to being just a good baseball player. And if that's the case, it almost makes Candelario. You're like, well, yeah, like we're running.
Yeah, I mean, Candelario's OPS plus right now is 19. We're almost 30 games into the season. He's got a 19 OPS plus.
Yes. Yep.
And I think, especially with Noelvi Marte really, really heating up, and hopefully he can keep it up and sustain it. I doubt he'll hit over 300 on the season, but he's putting good at-bats together, which is great. I mean, Spencer Steer doesn't have a great batting average, but we're seeing the at-bats get put together. I haven't even seen a good Candy at-bat since the home run in Baltimore in the first game of the series. It's been frustrating to watch. This is not to rain on the Candy parade or anything, but you root for the guy, you root for the Reds to sign these guys and be good free agents. But if it's not working out, you're not doing him a service. You're not doing the team a service. I don't know why my camera froze, but hopefully you can still hear me.
I'm still listening. Yep, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, you're not doing him a service. You're not doing the teams a service. You're not doing the fans a service. You're not doing any service to your productivity of developing these young guys. So it might be better to cut bait and kind of let somebody else get those at-bats than to just hold on and hope he turns it around.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been cool to see, because we've had different guys step up and be able to do and fill those roles. I know that in the chat, Sydney brought up Gavin Lux, who's been awesome as well. So it's been cool to see those guys fill that role. If Candy was actually
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it is hilarious. but yeah, it's been good to see those guys actually fill those roles. And honestly, I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but there's something about Terry Francona just trying to figure things out, right? Like we talked about that, and we were all like, people were all like, man, what's he doing this for? What's he doing that for? There's a method to the madness, and I know we talked about this before. There's a method to the madness. The guy's won a lot of baseball games, and he's been around a lot of baseball. Like when we were having the struggles, you didn't see him panic. When we don't get the call, you never see him panic. If a strike doesn't go our way, he doesn't panic. He's seen a lot of baseball. So, for him to come in and try to find guys fit and see where guys place and all these different things. And we as fans just have to be patient. And I know that's hard for us because we've been patient for a really long time, waiting for the Reds to figure it out.
16 years?
Yeah. We've been patient for a really long time. But there is a method to Terry Francona's madness, and I think that he is starting to figure out where guys will go, where guys will place. And you got to think about this too. He's going to get Tyler Stevenson back here soon. So there's some going to be some things moving around, and I think he understands guys that he can put in position, who he can trust, who he can't trust, where guys fit, and I think all those things are starting to come into play.
Absolutely, and I see it a lot in the bullpen where he's really figuring out where guys situationally belong and things like that. I mean, this week wasn't a great week for our starting pitching outside of Lodolo today, who was fantastic. Guys got roughed up a bit. Hunter Green got roughed up a bit. Brady Singer got roughed up. Kind of shorter starts. So knowing that he can slot different guys in where they need to be in the bullpen has been really, really awesome to see Terry figure out, because even with these bad outings, like there's still some good quality wins this week. I know the Miami series had a sour taste, but even look, Colorado, they stayed in those games. They had a response for everything that the Reds offense did. So for Terry to figure out who's the guys that he can lean on to finish out games, that's huge.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a good situation for your starting pitchers to know that they cannot be at their absolute best and still be in a situation to get a win, because you've got guys in the bullpen that can come in and do the job. So Hunter Green, his last couple starts has not been the Hunter Green from the previous two starts. And I don't know if that's whether it's his control or trying to figure things out or it's Major League Baseball. It's one of the toughest games in the world to play. And you're playing at the highest level where, guys start to figure things out. Like, those guys are Major League hitters for a reason. This is what they do. This is their livelihood. So, there are some things that he's going to have to make some adjustments on. It was nice to see Nick Lodolo make those adjustments. His location was a lot better today. His pitch selection was a lot better today. I felt like he made some quality pitches at key spots, and he really kept Colorado's offense kind of off balance with some of his pitch selection and some of the things he was able to do. So, I think those guys are we still have, I think we have the top rotation in Major League Baseball, one of the top ones, and those guys will start to figure it out. And I have no worry about Hunter Green. I mean, he's a pro's pro. He's still 3-2. His ERA is still killer. I mean, he's still the guy. It's just it's just figuring some little core things out, and which he will, because he's a stud. And Brady Singer too. I think that he'll start to figure some things out as well. And it's just one of those things where guys are starting to get more film on you. They're starting to see what you're doing. And now it's a chess game. It's Major League Baseball. So you're moving things from one thing to the other, and you're trying to figure things out so you can continue to get guys out.
Exactly. And I think out of anybody on this staff that we've seen for the past 6 years, I think we feel the most confident in Derek Johnson and his ability to turn anybody into a major league pitcher, but also get kind of the best version of these guys. And I think you're right about the Hunter Green growth and the Nick Lodolo growth, because the thing that I noticed today with Lodolo is that he was getting these off-balance swings and kind of being dominant on the mound, which is something that we've always seen from him, but he was being efficient in the way that he was doing it. He's getting into I think he went all 7 today.
7. Yeah, he went full 7. Yep.
So, I mean, he's being efficient in there, which gives the breather that it needs to for the other team, or for the other team, for the bullpen, for when they have to come into games a little earlier than expected. So I think just the maturation that these guys are showing this early in the season is super encouraging. And like you said, the more they pitch, the more film everybody else gets on them. So then you got to adjust. That's the game of baseball. Make adjustments to keep succeeding.
Yep. Oh yeah, no doubt. It's fun to watch. Like I know people stress and there's a lot of misconceptions out there about why guys do this or why guys do that. But I feel like our group, once we start to look at it, I feel like our starting pitchers, once we start to look at, I think that we are going to be one of the more dominant staffs, because here's the thing. I still think Rhett Lauder's going to make a play. I still think Chase Burns is going to make a play. I really do. I like to see what he's done in his rapid climb through the minors. At some point, you're going to have to give that guy a shot. And I'm not saying that somebody's going to fail or falter or whatever. Trust me, I hope that all 5 of our starters stay the whole season, and it's great. But, I think that he's going to be one of those guys where you're going to look up and you're like, ooh, like he's got a spot start somewhere. Like he's going to get a spot start. And we already seen what Rhett Lauder can do. I really like Rhett Lauder's stuff. And I think he'll be another guy that's up there and will get a spot start here and there. And I think our pitching staff is top notch.
I'd agree. And I agree with Rhett Lauder. I think we do see him come back at some point this season. I love the hot take about Chase Burns making a debut this year. I'm with it. The only reason I don't know if it would happen is because hopefully this team is playing for enough in later part of the season that it's not like, just get guys up here to have cups of coffee. I think hopefully in September we're playing something a little more meaningful that we need those wins.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That if we're in that spot, then we're definitely sitting pretty. Yeah.
And look, we talked about how this team is winning this week, and really this standings prove that. I mean, the Cubs and Phillies are going on right now, but if the Cubs, choke this game away, they would be 1 game out from first place in the NL Central, which is incredible. Knowing how the Brewers are always this kind of the voodoo magic. Mm-hmm. The Pirates aren't as terrible pitching wise. They actually have a decent staff over there pitching wise. They just can't hit for anything. And the joy to my heart, the Cardinals just continuing to be mediocre and nothing.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Like the Central is made for a team to win 87 games and win it. You know what I mean? Like that's the Central is there for the taking. So I mean, if we continue to do what we've been doing, I think we'll be okay. I think every team in the Central is, it's all kind of like I say, it's like rock fights. You know what I mean? Like it's like the AFC North. Like it's like rock fights. Like you just you throw enough stones and hopefully one of them falls down and you're like, oh, okay, great, I can step in front of this guy. So, I think we're all there. Like you said, the joy to my heart that the Cardinals are bad, Pittsburgh's always bad, and I think that we've got a legitimate shot. The funny thing about that is that usually, like you said, the Brewers are the one you're like, man, how do they keep doing that? But even they are having a little bit of falter. So, it's right there.
Yeah, and I think they're hurting with the kind of trades that they've made as far as sending Devin Williams out to New York to get who they get back? Another pitcher. It's blanking my mind right now. Nestor Cortez. They got Nestor Cortez to hopefully be the ace of that staff, and it's not looking that way. And on top of kind of losing some of the guys that Chase Burns out of there, and some of the guys that always gave us pain points, losing Willie Adames, which thank God he is no longer in the NL.
Yeah, he was a killer.
Yeah, and like you said, we're over 500. This is a new feeling for us Reds fans because normally we're 4 to 6 games under 500 with the David Bell era. So I know this is a kind of danger word around here, especially in our Patreon channel, which to anybody that isn't a Patreon, go ahead and join. Like it's $2 to $5 to join. You get access to our Slack channel, which is probably the best online community you can ever have. Yeah. It's just Reds fans being Reds fans, and not in a hurtful or toxic way. Just all of us just like talking Reds. And there's more than Reds, obviously. We also have channels for football and basketball and just kind of wrestling. But this is a word that kind of goes weird in that neighborhood. But there's hope around this team. And I know hope's not a strategy, but hope is the kind of dirty word around here. There's hope around this team. You're getting guys back. You're getting healthier because like you said, we're getting Tyler Stevenson back hopefully soon. We get to have Brett Lauder back, CES coming back, and hopefully we get to see the big power bat of CES that we need. But you're only getting healthier. You're only playing better. I think there's real hope and aspirations about this team this year.
No, absolutely. I think the biggest thing, about it is that we see a plan.
Yes,
we see a plan. Like we put a pitching staff together. We have a lineup that makes sense. Now granted, we, what I mean? Like our lineup it makes sense, right? You have a true leadoff guy. You got a guy that has a little bit of power, a little speed, batting second. You've got L.A. De La Cruz. You got Austin Hayes who has a little pop behind him that protects him. It makes sense.
Yes.
Guys are in spots that are gonna be successful. We built, we already talked about the pitching staff. The pitching staff is phenomenal. We're figuring out the relievers. Part of our first 3 weeks of our season is figuring out which guys go where, who can go long innings, who can go short, who can get the quick 3 outs, who can be the set closer, or whatever the case you want to call it. But it was all figuring those things out. But it's a plan.
Yes.
We have a plan to win baseball games. It's really cool to see, putting things together that makes sense. And I think that's what we've lacked the last couple of years. I don't want to, throw shade on David Bell. But I never felt like there was any kind of just order.
Mm-hmm.
Everything kind of felt chaotic. Everything kind of felt like, I hope this works. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. David, what's the question? I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's not what I want from my manager. I want you to instill confidence in me and tell me, hey, you know what? We're doing this because of this. This is the reason why. It all makes sense, blah, 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 blah. So that's the thing that I've noticed the most is that we have a plan. We have a plan to win baseball games. It's not like we're going out there and just throwing our hat in the ring and saying, hey, well, I hope it works. It's we have a very good team that's legit, that can win the Central, possibly get in a playoff, and that part feels good because I don't feel like we're just wasting 162 games waiting for next year.
Where is the brick wall? Because you got me ready to run through it, dude. That is the best thing you could have for this team. A plan. And it's crazy that we've gone this long as a franchise without a plan. You're right. We have good roster construction, a roster that makes sense, a plan to win games. And you're right. I feel like that's always was the feeling with David Bell was kind of well, we're here. And if we're here, we have a chance to win. It's I don't want a chance. I want your plan to win.
Yep.
How are we going to win? Because he would always do, and I don't want to turn this into a, poo-pooing on David Bell, but he would always just manage it like it was a little league game. He would put people out there and make these switches, and it just felt like he did that just so everybody got playing time. And it's no, I don't want, whoever it is to be out there and be terrible. And we're seeing that with Terry Francona because Candy has been terrible and he's sat for quite a bit this week. Yeah. And that probably not feels good for Candy, but that feels good for us fans.
All right. Right. No, you're absolutely right. It's terrible for Candy. I don't know what to tell the guy, but
hit better.
Hit a baseball. You know what I mean? You get paid to hit baseballs. This is what you do. Hit a baseball. But it's it's a process. Like and it's with any sport, man. Like, I don't know how much you follow the Bengals or your teams or whatever, but
Mhm.
like I'm a Giants fan. Like I watched us and I'm like, dude, we don't have a plan. Like Daniel Jones is not it. Like that's not the plan. That's not a plan. So I'm a little bit happier now that we've got some kind of plan. But if for any team, like you want to see that your team is going to progress. And this is the first time in probably 8 to 10 years I felt like, you know what? Like we have a process in place to be in contention at the end of the year to at least give us a shot. We don't have to make the playoffs. I would love to make the playoffs. I just want to be there when it's September and not be like, man, I'm sure glad football season's starting. Like I don't want to be that guy. I want to stick with it and be like, man, like I hope that we're there in September when we're trying to make a run, and it's fun baseball. So, yeah, that's the difference for me, man. Is like I feel like we have a plan, and I feel like the plan is coming into place, and I feel like and those guys are buying in. Like it's cool to see those guys buy into that. Like your Austin Hayeses, your Ellie De La Cruzes, your TJ Friedels, all those guys, all your guys, your leaders, your guys in your lineup are buying into what Terry Francona is saying. You know what I mean? So and you see them do press conferences. It's all about as a team how we're doing, what the team is like. This is what the team like, and it's cool to see. Like there's no individualization, there's nothing like that. Like they're trying to put together a winner.
Yeah, and to your point about my wife is here in the chat, but she's agreeing that like normally in September I'm like I can't wait for football season to start because the Reds just break my heart all summer. So it's good to know that other people share in that misery. Although I'm sure I don't know how much of football season you're actually looking forward to with being a Giants fan.
Yo, dude, it's brutal. It's brutal. I can't even lie. Like it's bad. I was happy to see that we drafted halfway decent. I mean, we're still going into the season as Russell Wilson as our quarterback, but hey, could be worse. You know what I mean? Could be worse. So we'll figure.
Could be Aaron Rodgers.
Could be. Yeah, I was going to say if you're the Steelers, it probably will be Aaron Rodgers.
You could have a quarterback carousel like Cleveland.
What a shame the Steelers get Aaron Rodgers. Oh, no. Something bad happened to the Steelers.
And you talk about like a plan, and the only thing I could think of is like you talked about the Giants kind of not having one, and I just want to be like, you mean Saquon Barkley wasn't in their plan?
Yeah, exactly. That's a touchy subject. That's a touchy subject. Them guys.
Well, man, we can turn it back to baseball then.
Yeah, I'll just leave it. They blew it anyway. So yeah, Reds. Reds baseball.
we in order to not get our hearts broken in September, I feel like there are a few things this team still kind of needs. I would say health for one. I think that one's kind of the obvious, but I still think they need a power bat. I'm hoping CES can be that when he gets back. But they are missing kind of a guy that's just a thumper. They have guys that can hit real well. Like, Sydney's put in here a couple of times that got Sydney and Joey actually have both put in here. Like Gavin Lux has been awesome for this team. He's hitting really well. You have TJ Friedel, you have Matt McClain. I think the only like real bruiser you have is Ellie De La Cruz, and that's still like not the biggest piece of his game. So to get a guy like Eugenio Suarez, or after coming off of a 4-run home run that game last night, but just a thumper in that lineup, I think they're still sorely missing that.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And if that person preferably played the outfield, that'd be good as well. That would fit perfect. I think that's the one big blaring spot is that they don't have that guy that's going to knock in or not going to hit 35, 40 home runs in your season. Now, I'm not saying that Ellie couldn't be that guy. And truth be told, Austin Hayes could be that guy too. But I think that you need to go out and make one or two more moves to really make us a contender as far as getting into the playoffs. A solid third outfielder and a guy with some pop.
Yes, really, I would agree because the outfield, you feel good about TJ Friedel. You feel good about Austin Hayes. Right field is still up in the air. I mean, there's some days where you feel great about Fraley. There's some days where you don't. I think getting a good, consistent guy and then letting Fraley be the fourth outfielder, because outside of the two major league outfielders you got in Friedel and Hayes, there's not much below that. I mean, you got Dunn, you got Friedel, Fraley. I think they sent Hurtabee's back down.
Hurtabee's is down, yeah.
So it's like you don't have a ton of quality depth there in the outfield. So I would agree. Some power hitting, right-handed power hitting bat in the outfield would be ideal. You could talk me into a power hitting left-handed outfielder as well because Hayes has been great, and Steer looks to be getting better too. So those could settle out your right-handed hitting a little better.
Yeah. No, yeah, I would agree with that. I just think I wish Fraley was a little bit more consistent because I do like Jake Fraley. He's just so inconsistent. In the field, at the plate, like he actually had some big hits on this road trip, but it's like I don't know if that's sustainable. I don't know if his play is sustainable. So it would be nice for them to make a move and try to get a guy, a thumper as an outfielder. That would be nice. But I don't know what they'll do or what kind of move they'll make or if they've got an idea of something. But that would be nice to have to be able to solidify that outfield because we talked about before at some point that could cost you a game. You know what I mean? Not having somebody out there that's a solid guy. So hopefully they can make a move and get a guy in here.
Yeah, I think that's probably – I think there's two top priorities. That, and I would love a lockdown back of the bullpen guy. And this is no shade on Santillan or Pagan, who've been great out of the bullpen. I think you get one more like elite level closer, solidified closer. I think you feel good, much better. I mean, I know I keep bringing up the comparisons to Cleveland, but if the Reds had like an Emmanuel Clase coming out, you feel so much better about the bullpen. Not poo-pooing on Pagan or anything like that, but you just get that one elite level closer. You feel unstoppable. Yeah.
I think our pitching, our starting pitching and a lot of our relievers are really good. But to be able to have that guy that can come in and shut the door it's key. I mean, all good teams have a guy that can come in and shut the door where you bring them in and you're just like, all right, game's over. Like we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's like you said, not poo-pooing on Pagan because he's actually been really good. But I think that it'd be nice to have that guy. And I'm trying to think shame on me. I don't watch. I mean, outside of the Reds, I don't watch a ton of baseball. So I'm trying to think of just other like closers, like guys that just come in and shut it down. Because I feel like when I was a kid, there was like Dennis Eckersley and Dave Stewart, and like all these guys could come in and just shut stuff down and it'd be over. I don't see that a whole lot. I don't know. Is that a role that's still kind of there, or is it something where people are like, okay, well, we just find a guy that day that's hot?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of I don't know of one that would be on a bad team right now.
Correct.
Because like I said,
yes.
you have Clase in Cleveland. You have Diaz in New York. Who I don't remember who's closing for the Dodgers now. It might be Bruce or Gratterall. I don't remember who's closing for him now. It was for the longest time Kenley Jansen, Craig Kimbrell.
I was going to say Jansen was there forever.
So I mean, I think you have Seattle's got like every arm in the league. So I think you got to find somebody that you feel really good in that kind of proven closer role. I just can't think of anybody that would be available because Cleveland's not getting rid of Clase. They just signed him to an extension. I'm trying to think of like a bottom feeder team that has a good closer. And I really can't think of one. Maybe Pittsburgh. I don't know how willing Pittsburgh would be to trade inside the division.
Inside the division, yeah. I don't know of any. But like you said, you bring up a good point. Like it's usually winning teams that have guys like that. So it's like they're not looking to trade. They're like, no,
exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I mean, if the Reds can get that, that'd be great. But I still think the power bat might be the first need in this team to solidify the lineup. There's no more questions on who's in right field. You know, I think this is kind of the first time in recent memory that mostly all the spots are penciled, like spoken for. I mean, the way Noel V. Marte's playing, he's got third base locked up.
Yep.
Matt McClain's got second base locked up. Ellie De La Cruz got shortstop locked up. Friedel's got locked up. Hayes has left field locked up. So you could first base, sure, whoever wants it, between Steer and CES and Candy. And then catcher, I think right now it's Trevino has it locked up until we get Tyler Stevenson, and hopefully we get the best Tyler Stevenson out of the gate.
Yeah, I hope so. I always worry when guys come off a long stints off of injured reserve. You know, before like he had shoulder surgery, it took him a while to get back into that kind of groove. I hope it doesn't take him as long. You know, but like we said, I mean, we've had catchers that have actually, you know, Trevino has not been bad and Wins has been pretty good. I just hope that Tyler Stevenson is able to come out and, you know, be productive as he was at the end of last year. Like he was really, really good at the end of last year. So, I hope that this IL stint doesn't, you know, doesn't hinder his progress in being one of the top catchers in Major League Baseball as far as hitting.
Yeah, I agree. And I would love to see him back in that kind of top 10 of catchers in the league. So, yeah, I think with that, we could probably get out of here. To anybody that's listening to us for the first time, please leave comments. We love to interact with fans. We're just Reds fans connecting with other Reds fans. If you're listening to us on your podcast app of choice, please give us a 5-star review. That helps us tremendously. If you don't think it's 5 stars, reach out and tell us like how we can make the show better. You know, we're making the show for fans. So thank you again to the Riverfront for hosting us. And thank you again to Blue Wire for kind of producing us. And with that, we're going to get on out of here. Hopefully the Reds keep winning and we come back on and have another great Sunday next week.
Yes, indeed. Go Red Legs.
See you guys.